Gott ist gut.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
So this is Thor. This is Leo's friend and business partner.
And
Instagram
twin
star.
flame. We're twin flames.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Let me.
Oh, let's get Leo on here. That would be a nice person to have on here.
What's the agenda for tonight's call?
Yo,
To
Yannis.
talk about you.
Oh no.
This is Haley Thor. She's been on my Discord server for almost since it was created. So, longtime supporter and fan.
That is how long?
Sorry?
How long is that? Like since you started?
I think maybe a year ago, but she hasn't been there for that long. When did you join, Haley?
10th October 2024.
Okay. Just after my birthday.
I'm just gonna switch
Actually, it's on Zen's birthday.
Greetings, Mr. Shambho. I'm new to your server.
Oh, hello. Good to see you. What brings you in here today?
The people, yourself, the energy, the community.
Simple enough. Well said.
Check.
Yes, we can hear you.
Nice.
Yeah, anybody that can turn on their camera, please do so. We got Leo in here. Shout out to Leo, first and foremost.
Yeah, shout out to Leo.
Yo,
Greetings,
Leo.
good sir.
Yo, everyone.
Greetings.
So thank you to Leo for introducing us, Thor and I. Leo has been the person to introduce me to lots of very powerful and influential people. So thank you to him as always. What did you think of the last podcast, Leo? Or the live stream?
Yeah, I didn't really think much, to be honest. I think it was like you said, short but sweet. I'd probably want to see a little bit more heat today in this Discord.
Maybe we can bring up the heat and ask Miriam to join. See if she's into it.
I don't know if now's the time for that, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah. Let's rock the flow first, and then we can see what feels true.
Yeah, fair enough. So where do we go from here, Thor? Take it away.
Where do we go from here? That is a great question. Mount Kailash. That's where we go.
Wow. Go all the way then. Yeah, so what do you want to know? You were interested? I'm very glad you were interested.
I want to know kind of what inspired you to go there in the first place. And what your experience was, how that impacted you. I mean, it's your profile photo for a reason, so it's had a massive impact, I assume.
Yeah. Wow, this is a big topic. All right. What inspired me was Sadhguru, the person you see behind me here on my wall. Sadhguru did many videos on YouTube talking about Kailash. And one of the first few videos he said Kailash and there was a picture shown. I instantly knew. I could feel the energy. It was immense. After that, I watched many videos about Kailash, and when I did go, I went recently. It is hard to describe in words. It's a phenomenon. It's an experience. I'll try to explain. It's like a palace of energy. It's someone's palace. You're going around this mountain. It's like the king's palace, and you get to see all the luxuries and all the beauty, and it's unlike anything that you've seen. Not a mansion, not a house. It's a palace. It's a kingdom. It's an energy space that's been consecrated or created by Shiva, this yogi you see here. And it's designed as a knowledge space. It's a knowledge repository in an energy form. And it's not only for human beings, it's for any other being that has the ability to perceive in the universe. They do come and participate in this knowledge. So I would go out and say that this is a very safe statement, that this is the most spiritually potent and powerful place on Earth. Not even close. Anything comes close. Nothing comes close. It's the most spiritual place on Earth.
And what did you do? Just like fuck around the mountain and climb or meditate or?
I walked around the mountain. It was close to 5,000 feet or kilometers in the air. And I went all the way to the north face, or to the actual face of it, which was very difficult, not easy, very challenging. Yeah, I just sat, I walked around it, absorbed as much energy as I could. It changed my life. And I'm going to go back again, 2026. That's my plan.
Hell yeah. And when did you
Wait,
go there?
So was it feet or kilometers? That's
It was kilometers, 5 kilometers.
yeah, okay.
I went in 2024, so last year.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Mr. Shambho, if you don't mind me asking, I've yet to explore your YouTube channel as much, but I'd love to know what got you started on this path. Was
Suffering.
there some
Suffering got me started on this path. I couldn't stop it, couldn't resolve it. And I needed a way out, otherwise things wouldn't be good. So I started seeking. But I'm interested in Thor. What made you ask the question of Kailash? What do you know about it? What did you feel? What can you share?
I don't know anything about it. I did look it up on YouTube. And yeah, super interesting. But yeah, why did I ask, dude? No clue. I guess you don't share much personal stuff as far as like I've probably only seen 15 minutes worth of content of you and Leo on YouTube. So I can't actually tell. But I guess I was just curious. Because even on the podcast, like it's basically just asking me questions. And yeah, it's just curious about you. I mean, you've had a impact on Leo's life in the last 3 months ever since he found you and whatever you guys have been doing. I mean, this has been 50% of his reality seemingly for the last 3 months. And so, yeah, I'm like curious about who this man is that's trying to steal my twin flame, you know?
You don't have to threat. I'm not competition for you, Leo. Will always be your twin flame.
Good.
Yeah. Nice.
What are you saying, Leo? What's Leo wants to be entertained, I can see. So what do you want to talk about?
Nothing specifically. I'm just present. Yeah, I think the most present thing that's in my field is the whole Mariam conversation. But I feel pretty clear on it right now, to be honest. I feel like everything that needed to be spoken about was spoken about.
Listen. Can I interrupt you, Leo?
No, sorry, you
I
can't.
can see.
Please go ahead, Leo.
I'm actually curious to know what he wants. But anyways, just type it in the comments, Ram. What were you saying, Shiva?
No, I thought he was very rude to interrupt.
Okay. That's funny. But yeah, regarding Mariam, I feel pretty complete about the whole topic. Just for context, I'm in an inner circle group chat with her, Shiva, and her team. And I just sent a bunch of messages just saying how I felt about her, narcissistic traits, the manipulation, all the BS that she's basically doing, projecting every day. And yeah, I've just left it now. I've left Shiva to continue on his little mission, his little path of becoming the number one son of Mariam. And that's where I'm at.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
What do
it
you
was-
make of the whole thing, Shiva?
Oh, it's fascinating. I enjoy the drama in the show, and it's a spiritual enlightenment drama that's unfolding. It's a bringing lots of benefit and value to my life, spiritually most importantly. And yes, I'm very curious to see where this continues. I just want to say,
What benefits?
I was going to say, I think the main benefit of this is when you bring polarity into a space, when you bring chaos and drama, you can really see what's hiding underneath. It's like, it's so easy to go on YouTube and proclaim to be enlightened or this savior or whatever. But what are you doing behind the scenes? How do you act when someone confronts you? How do you treat the average vulnerable, helpless person? Like, all of these things get to be factored in. And so when you come into a call like this, when people are triggering you and pressuring you and cornering you, what's going to come to the surface? And that's kind of my role behind the scenes. When I see Shiva, I like to connect him with controversial people because, you know, that's how you really can see truth. I don't know if you guys can hear me because it looks like my Wi-Fi.
we can hear you.
No, you're good.
You're good. So yeah, that's what I want to share.
Yeah, I mean, on the money. On the money. I mean, that's literally what's forged our dynamic, Leo. And also our courage in many ways, our fearlessness, our expression has been being in these environments of tension, of fear, where you're I mean, if you're speaking on stage or trying to close a billionaire on the phone, or struggling with delivering a service in the company, or being around completely new people in a completely new country, or whatever it is, like all these experiences that we've been in, where there's been some level of heat, some level of tension, some something that's uncomfortable, like that shit absolutely shapes you. So you want to lean into that 100%. And then
100%.
also, picking your battles, and because you can easily get sucked into it. And at one point, it's just fucking mindless entertainment. And you're in this drama spiral, and you're sitting up till 6 a.m. and you've spent the last 2 hours kind of just fucking around and wasting time, which is where discernment comes in. Which to me as well was like, I was a little bit hesitant with hopping on the pod with you, Shiva, and kind of like getting myself involved in this whole world. Because I mean, I've only heard a little tidbits from Leo here and there, and I also have so much on my plate that I'm doing every single day, and my state is really, really important to recalibrate, and it's very easy for me to be thrown off because, like, in my astrology charts, for example, there's only fire and water. My birth sign is water, and so I'm super emotional, and then the rest is just fire. And so there's no earth. And it's very difficult for me to be grounded, or it's not very difficult for me to be grounded. I'm very good at it because I know what I need to do to ground myself, like be organized and fucking show up on time, and fucking hit the gym and go sauna and cold plunge and all these things, and have a proper regimen for food. But it's easy to throw me off. And so I was like, is this thing gonna like fucking totally sap all my life force so that I can't show up? That was my biggest like thing. And at the same time, like, yeah, so you gotta have the space and the energy for it. It's gotta be a priority. It's like, am I gonna go do this thing to improve my life, or am I gonna, hop on this thing, for example, and engage in whatever uncertainties that might arise?
Yeah, I want to say first, it was maybe a little bit too premature to mute that guy. I feel quite bad. I want him to join back. Kind of impulsively muted him. He talked over. But
I was gonna tell you too. It did feel a little bit off.
Yeah, my apologies. I asked him to come back, so hopefully he can join back and ask his question. But yeah, this is quite a chaotic place. It's chaos for sure. If you participate more, it'll throw you off. Yeah. What do you think about that, Leo?
About what specifically?
About this being a chaotic place, and yeah, the chaos in general.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I've always been like gravitated towards spaces of chaos. I think that's just been the nature of my spiritual growth. Every time I've been in space of chaos or pressure cooker environments, I've had the biggest realizations, the biggest activations on my journey. So yeah, like I think it's just natural for me to be in this space. I don't feel like it's really pulling me in any particular direction. I feel pretty peaceful. And I think that's just a result of training. I mean, I've mentioned to you in the past, my biggest awakening experience happened in some shitty nightclub, or as a result of going to some shitty nightclub every day for 2 weeks in Norway. And yeah, and it was chaos. People were drinking, people were fighting. I had people trying to fight me in the street at like 2 a.m. And it's like being in those situations of pressure and discomfort were the things that really just pushed my awareness upwards. So yeah, when I sit in a call like this and I see so many different conflicting opinions, different perspectives, life experiences, archetypes, they just challenge each other, and they bring something up to the surface that you can't find in day-to-day life. You can't find that sitting in your room and fucking meditating and just like avoiding life. No, true spirituality is embracing the discomfort of life and also having your own spiritual practice. It's both.
I agree with that 100%. You know, I have a younger brother. He's 20 years old. And he texts me, hey, can you please be quiet? I'm meditating for 15 minutes. You know, that's how you know you're not meditating. Because if you have to ask somebody to be quiet, this is not, where are you, buddy? You're not on Mars, it's planet Earth. Loud is everywhere. It's about equanimity. When chaos comes into your life, you have to be patient and balanced and know how to work with it. But at the same time, you don't want to put yourself, you know, on the highway, let's say, because that's a little bit too chaotic. So it's a fine line, fine balance.
I want to hear what that guy had to say, Dr. Jono. I think you were going to ask a question.
I can't hear you for some reason.
That's on
Hear
you.
me
I
better
think.
now?
Oh, my mistake. Yes, I can hear you.
All good. Yeah, I just want to understand more of the intention of the format of these conversations. I ask this in the sense that I've been in a few voice calls now, actually without you guys. So this is different. It's completely new to me. So I just want to understand: is it more of like an open conversation, the podcast?
Yes, yeah, you're here to participate if you want to ask questions. Again, I want to apologize to that gentleman. It's not the first time he was on here, so I impulsively made. It's not that I censor people or mute people. He often kind of takes up the space without really any substance. But yeah, I apologize for censoring him. That's my lesson. So please continue. Or yeah, if you have questions or topics, let us know.
Well, that's big of you. I, for one, can appreciate you recognizing that.
Yeah, people ask me on my YouTube channel if I delete comments. I think YouTube does that. I haven't deleted a comment in a long time. I have deleted comments in the beginning of my journey. I thought that maybe I should delete some comments because they're talking bad about me and it kind of hurts. And I did, and it didn't do anything. And people still said the same thing. And I realized, no, I want the engagement, and I don't delete any comments. So that's on YouTube. I don't know why a lot of people say that I delete the comments. I don't. And I'm not here to censor people. I don't, that's not a solution. So whatever your idea is, whatever your argument is, let that be known, let that be heard, and I'm here to discover the truth. So I don't know what the truth is. If you bring me something that's in my blind spot, that's fantastic. I'm all here for that.
Question, Shiva. You said you're in Miriam's inner circle. What? And you said you're finding value spiritually. Yeah. What? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, the first thing is, also I noticed this with you, she has a free-flowing way of speaking without filtering herself, without holding back, just whatever's on her mind, it gets voiced outwards. This has always been a little bit scary to me, I'm just always kind of thinking what I'm going to say because I don't want to say the wrong thing. So that's been a part of my fear and an issue that I'm working on. So she's definitely helped me to alleviate that. And I know that it's okay for me to speak my mind and I can handle the consequences with whatever I say afterwards. And some things about the mother wound, you know, she's a woman, female, and very kind of authority-like. So that brings up in me my challenges with my mother. Yeah, I think those are the two biggest results, benefits of working with her.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the conversation flow is like your biggest your next step, I guess, in your content creation journey. Because like at the podcast we had together, for example, it was very like you ask me a question and I answer. My suggestion, which any guest wants, regardless of their status, their expertise, whatever, is also like engagement back. Like if I share something, I'm curious to hear your immediate reflections on what I shared, which then creates a dynamic of a conversational flow instead of it just being question, answer, which is more monotone, more kind of dead. It's not alive. And especially in this space, like people want to feel alive. And so how can you, I guess, move with that flow? And yeah, at the core of it, it's like not overthinking shit. Like even if you say some stupid shit, like maybe that needed to be said and you needed to feel whatever that brings up. And then also it just, yeah, it's a feedback loop. It just keeps things flowing.
Well, I think that's one of the reflections that Shiva gets a lot because he sometimes does these 3-hour podcasts with Mariam, and he'll sit there and say nothing for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then Mariam just talks and talks and talks and talks. And then he'll answer one question and then it continues in that way. So yeah, I think he's aware of it. I don't know what his intention is behind it.
What's your fear? Like, because there's clearly like a fear there, for example, maybe interrupting or, and even you muting everybody else, like shows that there's something there. The fact that that triggers you is like, yeah, it's because you struggle with like taking up the space and speaking or whatever. What do you feel when somebody's kind of like fucking just carrying the conversation? You want to jump in and it's like, and you kind of stop.
Yeah, it is 100% that. There is some still unresolved trauma around this, speaking up and breaking someone's train of thought and speaking over someone. That was my initial trigger and instant reaction to when this guy started talking. I muted him. Again, he's been in the Discord for a while and he does this, but that's not an excuse. Yeah, I also feel that you're there to bring the value. I'm interviewing you in a sense, but I also do understand and see now that it's not a live conversation. Like this is a live conversation. That was more of a interview and monotone and dead. So I definitely take that into consideration, and I will change my style from now on. So
yeah.
I think the most authentic podcasts are conversations rather than interviews. And I guess I'm thinking about, like, I know that you said you wanted to interview sadhguru, within the next year or so. I can't remember what you said. So the difference between building a relationship with sadhguru, like I feel like the main difference would be having less of an interview and more of a conversation based off of your personal experiences. I think that would be most beneficial.
I see. Yes, I agree. I can see that now.
Let me actually give you kind of a little genius frame of reference. You're doing an interview, whatever. Okay, you ask a question, somebody answers, cool. Their share, when they're done with their share, that is going to trigger something from your past. That's the thing you speak to. And if nothing comes up, fucking move on to the next question. But there's something there from your past that often comes up. When did you learn this thing that he talked about for the first time? When did you start understanding it? And just like speak to that thing. Because like, dude, here I am trying to fucking like ask you about Mount Kailash because I want to know who the fuck I'm talking to. And so that's a way of bringing that in. And it also adds so much more flavor. Like every time I talk to, and on our podcast, for example, whatever I'm speaking to, I'm always referencing something personal, like my mom or this thing or that thing or whatever it is, which makes the point juicier, really. And it also allows people to resonate with it.
It's part of why I joined. That not necessarily the aspect of adversity, but the sense of judgment that arose within myself the first time seeing your videos. In fact, the first video I saw, I can't remember exactly of the context, but you were literally exclaiming that you had the biggest ego, larger than anybody else. And it took me a while to process that, because it's generally the opposite way around. If there truly is an ego, one claiming that they have the least. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Spiritual people want to remove their egos. They go, oh, I have no ego. I have such a little ego. That's a trap. I understood that. So now I have the biggest ego. My ego is as big as a mountain.
Yeah.
That entertains people.
I mean, what like people say, like, oh, transcend the ego, and oh, I had an ego death or whatever. Like, that doesn't really make sense though, because say your ego dies, your ego's dead. So like, if you then come back, well then, if you remember shit from the past, then your ego really didn't die. Like, if your ego dies, there's no reference point anymore. There's no context. There's no memory. Like, your ego is your memory. And if you still remember shit after your awakening, like, your ego is still there. Even when you're mid-awakening, it's still there on some level. It's just kind of minimized. And so, yeah, the whole notion of, like, removing the ego or whatever doesn't really make sense. I mean, I've never had an awakening, or like the awakening, the enlightened experience. I've never had that, and so, I'm only speaking from my own experience, but that's how I perceive it. And yeah, we all know, like, fucking the biggest egos are the fucking spiritual egos, and I mean, you see that with Miriam, for example, fucking massive ego, huge ego. Perceiving herself higher, above this, I'm special, I'm the second coming of this, and blah blah blah. It's like, yo, that's all ego talk.
Yeah, I agree with you, Thor, that there really isn't. First of all, I kind of realize there's no such thing as an ego in that way. There's no entity to remove or nothing to get rid of. It's your mind, it's your intelligence. Somebody said in the chat, ego is intelligence or intellect. And I guess what you want to remove is your attachment to physicality, or your association with physicality. That's what you want to remove. Not that you're going to be some no ego person. You're still alive. You have to function. You have to have a mind. You have to have a personality. And that's how you be successful in this world. So ego will always be present, and strengthen your ego. Make your personality really good and strong.
Yeah. Yeah. To a certain extent.
I think some people do need to have a quote unquote ego death, and I think Mariam is an example of that. Because yes, you can build a very strong ego, but what is it grounded on? Is it grounded on inauthenticity? Is it grounded on some wound or some trauma? So I think an ego death invites self-reflection, and it invites a more authentic, cleaner expression of ego. Where is the ego grounded on?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's a big thing, yeah. Yeah, is it grounded in... Sorry, go for it.
A friend of mine said to me at one point, and I resonate with this, that an ego death is not necessarily to kill the ego per se, but rather to recognize its place. I feel that. I wouldn't necessarily say that I've had an ego death myself, but I can feel I recognize its place.
Yeah. It also, death sounds so fucking extreme. It's not like it actually fucking dies. Because again, then there wouldn't nothing, like, you wouldn't be able to function. Like, it's always there on some level, but it's just kind of the dissolution of certain aspects to it. Yeah, it's a fucking software update. Somebody said in the chat, exactly. Just updating the software. And like, to update the software, sometimes you gotta fucking clear out some storage, clean up some shit, remove some things, and make space for the new. And that's also where the resistance to the software update comes in. Like, fuck, but I don't want to let go of this thing. I want to keep this thing. I want to continue to engage. I'm a druggo. I mean, you could totally make that argument, but then I would ask, what is a druggo? Speak. I want to hear what this guy has to say. He's very engaged in the chat. Goose Duck JR. Talk to us.
Mongoose. He said he's
Not
gonna get.
not showing face though. It does say something about someone when they're not
That's
able to
fine.
show.
We don't need to judge
Shame
them,
him.
Leo. Come on, compassion,
Shame
bro.
him. Shame him.
Bro, he just called you a drugger. Meet him with the heat.
Well, it doesn't offend me because I don't agree. Or maybe I'm actually, maybe I so much agree that I'm like fully identified as a druggo, which is actually probably more likely the case. But yeah, there you go.
No, I didn't.
Oh, there's
I
a
don't
chat. I didn't even know.
Sharks. I was just kidding.
That's
I
fair.
wanted to
That's
see
fair.
how you'd react. Woo.
Ah, okay,
Look at you
okay.
go.
Good. Very nice. Very nice. You almost got me.
He's a nice guy.
Druggo is what the Aussies say. You fucking druggo.
Yeah. Shout out Big Liz Show.
I like Steven's profile photo.
Thanks, dude.
Dr. Jonah, are you a doctor?
I'm not a doctor. It's just a username that's been with me for a long time.
Okay.
Okay, I got a great question for actually I'm gonna tell you, Leo, we're gonna test your intuition here. Actually, it doesn't fucking matter what you say, but you're gonna say A, B, or C. So give me one letter, A, B, or C.
C.
Okay, so then Bob Estain, I'm gonna ask you a question. Bob Estain, I'm curious on I'm gonna format this what is one truth about yourself that you've been really kind of struggling to accept, but when you accept this thing, it's gonna massively change your life? One truth about yourself that when you acknowledge it, your life will change.
That my life's work may not materialize in this lifetime. That what my purpose is may not be reflected back to me in terms of the material in this lifetime.
And
So look, my brother, I'm just sending you love, man. Just sending you love, brother. I find to look to be a very brave soul. We had a conversation yesterday where he was fully able to be vulnerable and express himself without anybody else essentially giving that space forward. He was open towards that. So I, for one, just want to share in regard to that share that I appreciate that. And I send you love, brother.
respect, hell yeah. And talk to me about your life's work. Why do you believe that might be the case? And why is that a truth about you?
I think even calling it life's work may not be the right words, but I know just however the life force flows through me, it may not look organized and it may not fit into society's definitions of what is actually valuable. But how I orient myself is deepen as deeply as I can in the truth. And I just have faith that if I do that, then it sort of like ripples outwards in ways that may be unseen. And yeah, for me, it's just accepting the fact that I may not see any tangible material fruits of that. But what is helping me come to an acceptance of that is that even if there aren't tangible feedbacks of that, God knows, and God is with me, and there's a deepening of peace and love within myself, and that is the most valuable thing. So that's kind of how I'm grappling with this whole thing.
And what would change? Say you fully embody this. Well, right now it's not a fact. It's just an idea. But say you fully embody it and you just like, fully detach from seeing any tangible expression or actualization of your purpose, your mission, whatever. What changes? What happens?
Well, first I think I have to get through like what I fear about it, which is that it's more than just like the material feedback, it's how it could potentially alienate me from the people I love and the people I'm around. What changes is, I think, just a deeper peace of mind and equanimity and just a freer flow of life force. And there's a certain satisfaction that comes with that. So, yeah, I think in the end, what would change is a deeper level of contentment and flow and bliss, but also perhaps a disconnect that may arise with people around me.
I feel that, man. I've reflected on that many times because I have such a large circle of friends. Like I have probably 15 people that I could totally consider a best friend, that I would tell anything and everything and would completely trust with my life, from my hometown. Said that I've known since kindergarten, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, played football together for 15 years. I've always been kind of very sociable in many circles. And for me, that too has been like the biggest resistance to this path, is essentially grieving those relationships that might die, that might fizzle out. And I don't know. And I've had many times this vision of me like at the end of the tunnel, stepping out into the light. And then I look back and my fucking boys are still fucking loafing around, like kicking rocks and like fucking around deep in the tunnel. I'm like, damn, guys, like I was kind of hoping you would follow along. But not all of them will. That's not their path. And that's sad, man. That fucking hurts. And I've cried many tears just feeling into that. And as you let go of that, you open up space for new relationships. And some of the newer relationships in my life are fucking incredible. Incredible. And so it's just the cycle of life and death, change. Thank you for sharing, by the way. That was beautiful.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
And Thor, thank you for sharing on that aspect of friends. I've disconnected from a lot of people lately in my life, and that's been a difficult one because it's been lonely, but almost in a selfish sense, and I'm still grappling with the shame of that selfishness. But I appreciate your insight in the aspect of it opening room, because the insight that brought me was what this community's done for me in the last few days. I've had such beautiful conversations with such beautiful people. So I appreciate that reminder.
So true with the shame aspect. I have one friend of mine, literally every day since this year started, he's called me 2 to 3 times a day. I have not picked up once. And he's very much in the matrix, you could say. Does his job and kind of fucking soul sucking to a degree, but he loves his passions, and what we have in common is our passion for Minecraft and the outdoors. Like those are our two main connection points, and working out. And though I don't play much Minecraft because I get so fucking sucked into it when I start playing, I gotta be just more clear on where I'm putting my time and energy. But he's basically, he just wants to hit the gym with me, and I've been ignoring him, not responding to the call, and I've kind of felt guilty, felt bad. Like why can't you just respond? But I know as soon as I actually respond, it takes a lot of energy, and then I have to explain to him why I'm not able to go to the gym today, and why I can't even make a commitment of going to the gym because I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen tomorrow, and where I'm gonna be, and when I want to flow with this and that, and then so it's just gonna take so much to like explain that, and I just can't be asked. And yeah, and he's gonna perceive that how he perceives that, and there's not much I can do with that. He messaged me actually like 2 weeks in. He's like, if you rather prefer working out alone and you don't want to work out anymore, that's fine. And I'm like, yo, listen, bro, like I want to work out with you, and I just can't make any commitments right now because there's so much happening in my life that I gotta attend to, and that's just it. And if he takes that, like he takes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But yeah, we can only do what we gotta do, and like that's just me listening to, like I know that's what I need to do, and it hurts a little bit, and I want to please him. But I can't continue to sacrifice myself just to please someone else. He deserves better than me. Which is also true. Like he totally deserves somebody that can be more consistent. I just can't, like I can't commit on that level to the relationship, and he totally deserves somebody that can be more consistent with them. And I'm low-key also the only friend he has. And so yeah.
Would you not say the same is true the other way around?
Yeah, I would.
Mm.
And I guess that's why I'm making the priorities that I am, spending less time there, more time over here.
I feel like Thor is a very fitting identity. I see you, and I feel you're somebody strong in yourself. It's admirable.
Thank you, man. Yeah, totally rebel to the point where I'll rebel against my own routines and my own structures, and then I'll be like, fuck, why did I do that?
I need me some of that in my life.
I don't know how to feel energies, Mr. Goostman, Master Roshi. Kamehameha. Ha, I fuck with that.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've reached the conclusion.
Really?
That's what it feels like.
What is a conclusion?
It's like you've been around in a bonfire and the fire's raging and then starts to die down and fizzle out. And unless we throw more wood on the fire, we can keep going.
What do
we
you
can
feel,
throw
Thor?
some logs on. Yeah, I think we should put some more logs on. I definitely wanna chill around the campfire for another 30 minutes at least. I'm not gonna sleep yet. I've blocked off 3 hours for this, bro. We've only been going for an hour.
Okay, let's I'll get some logs, let's throw it on the fire.
Yeah.
Let's see, where else do we go? So I'm wondering what Leo's reflection is based on everything that's been said. What are you thinking, Leo?
I think really I was a little bit zoned out for the past 10 minutes, to be honest.
So
Yeah.
if we really want to bring the logs and also add some kerosene into the fire, we should invite Miriam. I'm not sure though, Thor, if you'll be able to sleep after that.
No, you can run it. You can run it.
Okay.
You know, it's good. It's good. It's good practice. It's gonna be funny because she's been messaging me for like fucking 2 months and I haven't responded to a single text. So yeah, it'd be fun.
Okay.
Mr. Shambho, are you open to a question in the meantime?
I'm sorry?
Are you open to a question in the meantime?
I'm open to all the questions. Ask whatever you like.
Do you have a vision for this community? Do you have an idea in mind, a goal, or are you just allowing it to flow as it is?
Yes, I'm allowing it to flow as it is. The more people with contradicting opinions and the more chaos, the better.
Why the better?
Chaos is where life is. It's lots of life. Some people
Yeah.
want to, yeah. I want to have a big chaotic community.
Have you, Shiva? I have a question. You've
Yeah.
been in like active discernment as this community has been growing, and the space that you're, facilitating has been growing. In terms of if this is in alignment with God's will or not, like, have you had these kinds of discernments come up for you that you've had to process?
No, I don't know if this is in God's will or not, but this is a container where anybody and everybody is welcome. So if that's not what God's will is, I don't know what is. So whoever you are, whatever problems or challenges you have, there are some people that have some severe challenges here, problems in their lives. They're welcome to join too. Some people here also cause quite chaos and havoc, and some people maybe are even, I don't want to get into that, but anybody and everybody's welcome. So, and we're here to talk. I think that's God's will.
I will say
You've definitely at least heard feedback from people, right? You've heard feedback from people that like say that what you're doing is toxic or something. I'm sure you've heard that, and you even alluded to it, like in terms of the comments. So how do you process that? Like, do you take that feedback seriously in the sense of like at least considering it and processing within yourself if it is something you should decide and not actually acknowledge? Or yeah, how do you like grapple with that feedback that you get?
That's wonderful feedback, and it's true. This is toxic. The more toxicity that's produced naturally, we're not here to artificially produce toxicity. Toxicity, there's toxins in life. If you can't handle toxins, your immune system is not too strong, it's not going to be good. So this is not some safe, walled-off area, and we're going to put Band-Aids on you. No, this is life. Toxins, you got to learn to process that.
And when do you, as a leader, because you're the leader of this space, you're the facilitator, and with that comes responsibility. And some people, when they're in your field, you are like, it is your responsibility to not fucking sugarcoat shit. Totally not. But there's at certain points, like what a person might need is not to be roasted in a moment, but actually compassion, actually some love. And if you're gonna be on your pedestal of like, ooh, I'm better than you because you can't handle toxicity. If you can't handle toxicity, get the fuck out. Like, then you're just being a dickhead instead of actually serving people, which I believe at the core is why you're doing this, Shiva. Like, you wanna share with the world what you've experienced and what wisdom you fucking brought back home from Mount Kailash and whatever the fuck. Like, you want to bring that to the world because also in doing that, you're serving yourself. And so, yeah, it's a balance to it. But again, every community kind of has its own little essence, its own little, spark, what makes it a little bit unique. And here, totally, that's the fucking spiritual drama.
Yeah.
Something I found quite beautiful was that we had a voice call yesterday. There was quite a few of us without you in there, and I appreciate you saying that you don't necessarily have a vision and you're allowing the flow, because I literally see that make manifest. Last night there was a woman who joined the call. Her name was Jessica, and we were speaking with I Am, or whatever his name is. And what's interesting I find about him is that he really embraces this aspect of darkness. It's something that I find very prevalent in this love and light aspect of the community, where the people who are in need of the most help are kind of shunned. And I appreciated that. Appreciated that deeply. So it's just interesting for me to see how a server named after yourself is kind of operating without you. I really like that it's not necessarily centered around solely you, but the community as a whole. I think that's quite beautiful.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm not really here to be a leader in that way. Not leading much or leading anything. The server is my name, you're join my server, but in essence, this is you. This is your server also. This is like a big circle, a big campfire.
Mm.
And also, I'm not here to facilitate love, Thor. I don't care about love. That doesn't resonate with me. I'm here to seek power as a man. You got to be powerful. If you need to take a moment to cry, cry. I've cried a lot.
What the fuck did you just say? Elaborate on that, because I don't think you actually mean that. I think you're just saying it because it sounds clickbaity and it kind of creates engagement and you want some engagement.
That's definitely true. I want some engagement, but I'm not saying that for clickbait. It's true. There's no love in me in that way. If you want love, you got to seek a woman or maybe your mother or some feminine man. I'm not here to give you love. I'm here. You have a hard time walking. I'm here to push you over. Now you're facing the mud. What are you going to do about it? You got to learn to walk better. So
But that's tough love. So it's still love.
Yes.
I don't think it's love. I think you're lying, man. That is definitely not love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the core of it. It's where it's coming from.
Why do you think that?
I mean, some people need to be pushed over the edge. That's the greatest thing you can do for them, because that's going to catalyze them into their next phase. And so there's totally time for that. I mean, the saying "tough love" is a saying for a reason.
Shiva, do you care about people's next phase, or do you just care about your own gain? I think that's a better question.
Okay, I feel like dodging that question. This word love, I don't resonate with it at all. This word means nothing to me. Love. Like, what is love? Yeah, I care about you. I want you to be better. That sounds fake. I don't. We're human beings. I'm not here to, I'm not a demon. Not here to hurt you intentionally. Although I can. And I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think you do. But so, okay. When you went to Mount Kailash, what do you feel like? Because there were other people there. I assume there are like teachers and whatnot that you studied under.
Yeah.
Are they preaching like self-gain? Is that what Mount Kailash is? Because as far as my research on Mount Kailash, that's not what it's about.
For me, it's all about self-gain, 100%. I'm a selfish human being. I'm here to benefit myself first and foremost. Better that you don't eat and I eat. First I eat, then you can eat. Unless you're starving and I'm quite full, then okay, you eat.
I command your honesty.
Yeah.
I appreciate that perspective. I feel that it's honest of myself when I truly admit how deeply selfish I am. I'm very selfish. I'm a very selfish individual.
Well, I think Thor is probably one of the most selfless people I know, so I can see some nice, healthy dialogue between you both.
I think being selfish is the highest spiritual practices you can have, the highest spiritual thing you can do. You're not truly spiritual unless you're 100% selfish to the point where you don't care. You only care about yourself. When you really care about yourself, then you can actually care about other people. You got to meet your needs first. That's what they say.
Of course. Meet your needs first. Yeah.
But don't help people either. Don't help others.
This guy, I feel like I'm in some fucking COD fucking lobby where people just like spit out random shit.
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Elias isn't
Sadhguru-
allowed to ask questions here. I thought he was banned.
Oh, do you want to know if he's a Leo, why he's a lion again? Nah, just
No.
check. Please go ahead. Yes, ask your question.
Sadhguru talks about being, just as you said, like totally selfish, and it's a kind of a matter of identity. Do you recall him talking about
Yes. Yes. Sadhguru also tells you to be selfish and to be more selfish.
Yeah.
Not in a selfish way,
I mean,
by the
you-
way. In a selfish way. Hope you can distinct the difference.
that? Yeah, like if you identify with the cosmos and all that, then if you ultimately selfish, then it includes everybody.
Yes. Yes. Welcome to Reese. Shout out to Reese. Big member of the server. Glad you joined. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to take a bathroom break. Unless, Thor, you have something to respond.
Yeah, one question for you before you run. Because it is a lie that you're saying I'm totally selfish. When you hosted me on the podcast today, you were totally present to pleasing me. That's why you didn't fucking speak when you wanted to speak. That's why you acted like a robot and gave me all the space and didn't interject.
Yeah.
This is juicy.
I got to learn to be more selfish. You're right. I wasn't selfish enough. I have some...
Bruh. I mean, but yeah, yes, in that context, absolutely. Because if you were more selfish in that context, you would, in doing that, be able to serve me more. I would have had a better time on the podcast. And more of your life force and power comes online, which is at the core just gonna lead you back to your heart. So yeah, I guess it can work out.
Yeah. Bareback.
Yeah.
Somebody want to enlighten me? What's happened?
Thor and Shiva just did a podcast, and
Yeah.
then he's just jumped on now to do some live Q&A.
What, did the
and all.
podcast not go well or something like that? It seemed like there was some heat.
Now, podcast was I give it a 6 out of 10. But it was fun. It was still like, I like to talk, so mic me up and I'll talk. No problem.
What was the issues that you found? It seemed like you had some issues with Shiva's approach, or I don't know, like what was going on then?
No issues, just feedback. We spoke about it probably at the start of this conversation, and Leo mentioned something about him having. I don't really like. I've seen 15 minutes of footage of Shiva, so I don't really know him well. But Leo mentioned how that's kind of his style. It's just like not really talking, and even though he might want to talk and want to speak and interject, he doesn't due to fear of judgment or saying the wrong thing or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you, Thor,
Yeah.
actually. When I was watching that podcast back with, I think he's called Liam or Yam, he seems to be, what happens is he just seems to have like these it's just a question. But he just goes question, so it
Yeah, it's
doesn't
no
give room
dialogue.
for like a back and forth dialogue, and that's where you really get to the juicy parts of conversations, when you're able to back and forth with each other. So I agree with that. I think it's good feedback, actually.
Yeah, and then now we're basically talking about Shiva's talking about how he's like super selfish and trying to be more selfish. And so immediately for me, I was like, is he just talking shit or what's going on here? I don't really have much context to this whole environment either. And I guess my immediate thought is like he's facilitating this space because maybe he wants to step into his own leadership. But apparently that's not what he wants to do. And it's seems to be more for self-entertainment, which is also okay. So I guess I'm just understanding what's actually going on here. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated.
Good. Interesting. Wow.
I just want to
Very
say I'm very excited to see these two worlds collide. I actually made a group chat with Reese. Thor. I don't know if you saw the group yet, but
I saw you made the group. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to jump in.
So yeah, we'll probably be chatting some point next week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I
Hell
feel
yeah.
there's a resonance I feel between both of your energies.
Well, what you're talking
Yeah.
about right now, Thor, about this Shiva situation, it's funny how like Shiva at the moment is saying that he wants to become more selfish. And just like how my journey at the moment is the absolute polar opposite of that. Like I'm just every single day giving away my power and just trying to give myself away to God and just surrendering moment to moment to whatever I'm experiencing. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic now. I'm interested for somebody else because I first came in with the same heat you did, Thor, and I had lots of problems with Shiva, and I wanted to bring them to his attention. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be interesting for more energies now to really prod and poke around at the Shiva dynamic and see what's actually going on here.
What did I miss?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, dude, so much. So much.
It's just a spotlight on you.
Yeah.
So what's your you say you want to be more selfish. What I make of that is like you want to evolve, you want to become more powerful, you want to feel better about yourself, you want to be able to show up with more oomph, you want to be able to lead more people, finesse your way, maybe get women or status or whatever. You want to experience more from life. That's what you're wanting, as far as I see it. And you perceive the best path to get there is by doubling down on your selfishness.
Yes, that's correct. I think that people think selfishness. Well, first, spiritual people think that when they help others, they supplicate. They want to go and help. They think that's the right thing to do. That's not the right thing to do. You have to invest in yourself 100%. Only then can you be of any service to anybody else. And
Sure.
Yeah. So don't.
I think that makes sense. And I think
wholeheartedly agree.
So at the end of the day, really what we're talking about here is just different stages of the same path. Because like, I would say 5 years ago, Leo, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when we started on our path of online business, like I didn't give a fuck. I used to bully my friends. I used to have everybody around my fucking pinky, and I was the guy leading and facilitating everything, and I was calling the shots and making the jokes and putting people down to elevate myself. That was all I did, and it gave me a lot of power, gave me a lot of finesse. I got my way. I chose all the things, the destinations, whatever the fuck. And online business was just, I want more. Now I want to make money. Now I want to fucking quit my weekend job and school, and I want to travel the world. So it was all about me, absolutely. And that's just the fucking hero's journey. That's the first stage of the path, is accumulating more for yourself. And then in time, you're going to also realize that once you have that, once you have, the travels and the money and the influence and whatever the fuck, like, you change and you see beyond it. And then, okay, cool. Now I want to do something different. And that's just the natural path. And so that's how I see it. Yeah, you're just on your path. Like, and this is also kind of the few things that Leo shared with me is like, how you're lacking kind of like more of that masculine oomph, that power, which is at the core of, I think, your expression, or you saying you want to be more selfish, is tapping more into that primal masculine, which I think absolutely you should be doing. So
Thor,
yeah.
I just want to maybe ask, like, because I don't necessarily see the selfishness in a negative context. I see it more so as an equal and opposite reaction. The more selfish I can be, the more selfish or selfless that emanates from myself. Like, I feel like the spiritual path is very selfish. It's very alone to some extent. But I find, for example, how would I say, for example, Shiva's capacity to be selfish is now emanating in this selfless proponent of how he exudes his energy to others, how that interests others, causes adversity, opens conversation, like right now.
I would 100% agree.
I mean, look, though, you're accurate. Like, once we achieve what we want to achieve in this world, we realize there's only so much that we can give to ourselves. And I mean, even if I look at Reese or whoever, like, he's made the millions, like he achieved most of his material goals. Same with me, same with you. And so it's like once you reach the end of that, you're like, okay, what more do I give myself and why? Where is that coming from? Is it just like a unhealed wound that makes me addicted to more and more seeking? I think the only way out from there is just helping others. And that's why, like, I don't hold any judgment against Shiva when he says he's selfish. I think it's beautiful. I think it's to honor that. And I think we all get to honor that on some level. Because the nature of being human is to be selfish. If you're not selfish, how are you even going to survive in this world? So embrace the polarity and then eventually find the middle path.
And I agree. Like for me, like in the beginning, I was kind of taken back because it was just, I guess, missing context. Like, again, I don't even know you, Shiva. And I guess a part of me just perceived you to be kind of at a similar stage in life as me. And so I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, how could you be at X stage and then still not give a fuck about, I guess, other people, which you also do. But yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. And I say more power to you. Absolutely. Because you are serving people by doubling down on yourself. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing right here. I'm reaping the fruits of that. Like, I'm having a good time right now. And I'm getting to reflect and jam with other people. Like, hell yeah.
100%.
I don't know why, but for some reason I want to disagree.
With
I
who?
feel like
About
we're
what?
onto something. I feel like, yes, you do need to be selfish in some way. But there's something missing.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm going to read a quote, and I think that's exactly fucking it. I need to find the quote though. Do you guys know there it is. There it is. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So basically, it's speaking to like the root chakra, the belief in lack. And the emotion that causes is sadness. And the core blockage is that I'm incomplete. And the way to balance that is basically understanding that sadness is the messenger who comes to remind me that only what I have not given can ever be lacking. And so what that basically means in this context is the truest way to serve yourself is by serving other people. The truest way to know that you have something is to give it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
then
also
what happens is you have to go around the merry-go-round of being selfish and self-serving for a period of time. But then when you really are selfless, that's the most selfish thing you can do, because you give, because you realize how much energy you gain from giving and how much power you gain from giving it away. So it's like the initial stage is like juvenile.
Yeah.
When you truly surrender to God and you truly surrender to the path, that's giving you give up your whole identity. You give up everything that you are. You don't even want to exist as a human being anymore. You just want to be energy. And that's where the power and that's where you become connected to God.
Truthfully. I mean,
You know what comes to my mind is, I was going to say, is the hero's journey. And in the hero's journey, they talk about how you start off as a boy, like a boy warrior that's venturing on the path and has things to prove and has its own desires. And there's this book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. I don't know if anyone's heard about it, but there's the same archetype. There's like the incomplete version, and then there's the complete version, which is the king, the warrior, the magician, the lover. And so, yeah, like, again, there is no judgment of the selfish part in your life. I think it's literally just a part of that unfolding process. But again, when I look at Shiva, I get the impression that he's still venturing on the path.
Yeah.
I want to add something real quick to that. I think the chase of power eventually leads you to love anyhow. A lot of times in my life when I was chasing power or thought I desired power, it was more of, it ended with an experience of love and realizing, oh no, I was actually just looking for the truest form of love, not power.
That's true, but I mean, if you look at the world that we live in, a lot of people as soon as they get a little bit of power, and they lack the love, they just get more power, more money, more, and that's the state that's why we're living in this fucking shit show right now.
Yeah.
Reese, what do you think needs to happen for that to change?
I don't know. Obviously, I'm just going through my own process right now, and it's interesting how I've just come into this space after the experience that I've just had, because I don't feel like I need anything. I don't feel like I can change anything as well. I don't feel the need to change anything. I feel like this is just part of whatever's going on right now in this process between all of us. This is just part of it. But I was feeling this exact feeling that is going on right now was when I was in my meditation, was when I would tune into Shiva. There was this like blockage or coldness where, like, because my heart's really opening recently, and I'm really like, as I'm sat in my sovereign being, like, I'm just feeling that intense, profound love energy. And then when I'm tuning into Shiva, it's like it's like I can't resonate with him in that way. And I feel like this and Thor coming in and putting this to him will hopefully help him on, and me as well. I feel like I'm here to unlock that in this group or in Shiva, because my whole journey has all been about that energy, and I want that so bad, because Shiva's such a good human being. He is. I do believe that. But it's like the Miriam situation, like this whole thing, like when I'm just observing it and the more clear that I've become, I'm just like, what have we been doing? Like,
yeah.
We need more. You need to open up that side. If you want the power, Shiva, you got to give it away.
Facts. Facts.
Can I just point out there, as somebody who just said that you feel like you do not need anything, you just said that you started your last sentence with you need. I don't necessarily believe that anyone needs anything from anyone. And in as much as that might sound selfish, I think that's very selfless. I think that's a very selfless perspective.
Can you elaborate on that? You said something about, I said that I don't need anything, and then I said you need to Shiva.
So in that context, like it's your perception of his need coming from somebody who feels like they need not. But do you not then feel that nobody needs that?
Okay, so let me elaborate on this situation then. So when I'm in a space of duality, when I'm like interacting with people, especially with people that I've got love for and that I feel like I want to build in the direction of, then obviously I'm gonna, the wording that I use, for example, like when I'm saying Shiva needs, it feels like there's a lack there of Shiva's heart. When I'm sat in my meditation and I'm in my non-dual state, or I'm in my meditation, I'm complete in that state.
So where I'm coming from is even the act of selflessness, I believe, is selfish.
Yes, yes, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah, I get you.
Gain, you know.
And that's what I'm trying to get through to Shiva, though. That's what I'm trying to explain is like, that's the path to selflessness, is the path to everything that he desires. But it's got to be true and authentic. You can't fake it.
And also doubling down on your quote unquote selfishness right now, Shiva, is also you being selfless. Like the word is it's so easy to kind of fucking like dance around words, because everything in life at its core, the deepest truth, are all paradoxes. Like you can't understand the deepest truths without understanding them through a paradox. So we can run in laps with fucking words like I don't need this and then I need this. Like, yeah.
I know the absolute truth. I know the absolute truth. The absolute truth is that there is no absolute truth.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao.
Then there is nothing left to discuss. Let's just sit in silence.
Let's add more logs to the fire. Seems like it's dying down again.
Every time there's like 3, 4, 5 seconds of silence, you say it's dying. Like, no, that's not true. There's periods and space between talks, but that doesn't mean it's dying. Why do you perceive it to be dying?
Okay, maybe it's not dying.
Shiva needs conflict. This is, it's so funny to say that. That's bad. Like when I was tuning into Shiva, when I was tuning into Shiva today, it's like I realized why there's been so much conflict in Shiva's community. It's because when we went to settle on the energy, either yesterday or the day before, you couldn't do it. You need conflict. That's why when you were speaking to Liam, you was like, you prefer Sadhguru Sri Brahman because you want it to be this way. You like the chaos and the conflict is where you want to be. You don't really want to settle in the, do you?
I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's fucking awesome.
I'm not
More
saying
power
it's
to
not,
you.
but there is also a space, like in terms of my goal and my vision is to like I want to gravitate in like the direction of real people. And if you're gravitating in the direction of real people, but you're conflict driven, your community is going to fall apart so fast in person before it even starts. You need to be you can't have big conflict. Can't be your driver. I can swim in conflict, me, and chaos, and I can fucking chop everyone's head off if needs be. But that isn't. I don't need it. I do it because that is a manifestation of humanity. So I can thrive in conflict. But I am not in inner conflict. So it doesn't really, even my recent breakup, it's not even in conflict. It's so amicable. Been together for 10 years. Usually it's toxic and like what's going on in Mariam's life now, like the problems are just like, oh, coming out your way. Yeah, problems come my way. But it's not a conflict. There's no inner conflict or even an outer conflict really. It's just a situation that gets dealt with.
Would you not then agree that conflict breeds harmony?
Yes, but it depends on what you're doing. Yeah, so it's all it's all part of the process. But what I'm saying is if you are conflict driven, then you are going to create conflict for your fellow human beings.
You can't create anything because there's no foundation. I mean, this is literally exactly why Miriam's entire community crumbled. Like, and I'm not saying like that can, that is not true, and it's true in the context that I'm going to provide, though. It is like, because literally we've been speaking a little bit about her, but for the last, I would say from March last year till I think around, until like summer, basically, spring till summer, me and Leo, we lived with her and a bunch of other people for a total of like 2 weeks in physical, and we're talking about New Earth, building community, all of this stuff. And then after the retreat, the last retreat, Miriam basically goes AWOL and starts roasting her co-facilitator, Ross, a fantastic, arguably my favorite spiritual teacher that I've ever met in person. Incredible guy. And she just starts flaming him on Instagram stories, making accusations that he's sexually doing this and that and whatever with a student and whatever. And she didn't even speak to Ross. She didn't even engage with him before she basically fully signed on to the rumors and just starts blasting it. And so essentially we've spent a quarter, she spent more time we're like a group of 8 building this foundation. And then we do 2 retreats. Momentum is growing and she just burns everything to the ground because she is conflict driven. Yeah. And so she didn't actually want to build anything. She talks about New Earth this and New Earth that. She doesn't want to fucking build shit. She just want to talk about it. And anytime some momentum happens, there's a part of her, a wound in her that gets triggered. She gets afraid. And so she basically self-sabotages. And that's what she did. And so same thing here. Like if you want to build something, like you can't fully be conflict driven. So sure, as you were saying, Dr. Jono, yes, conflict is a part of the process. But if you only have conflict, dude, nobody wants to be a part of that because then it will just fall apart. And this is also why all the revolutions in the past have always failed, because they're all conflict driven. They're all ego driven. They need something from someone else. They need a hierarchy. They need to be on top. They need to win. And that's the old world. And that's what we are moving away from, like it or not. That's what you're moving away from.
So fucking true. That is so true. What do you think, Shiva?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to build anything just yet. So that's not my intention right now. And yeah, I am conflict driven. Not to say that I'm here doing whatever, but I understand that conflict does breed peace and equanimity and knowledge and wisdom. So right now we're having a little bit of a conflict. We're not agreeing. Should I agree with everything saying? Absolutely not. We have lots of people's opinions here. This is exactly what's needed. When these clashes happen, something so valuable comes out of it. Wisdom.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think what the difference is with me, I think because of my upbringing was so I'm used to conflict. Because my upbringing was so drowned in very painful, conflict-driven experiences, it's out of my system. You know, like once you've like dipped your toe in a certain thing for a certain period of time, it's like, okay, I understand the conflict, but now I don't want to manifest any more of it inside me. Maybe because your upbringing's been different to mine, that you are trying to create more outside conflict to get to that state of inner harmony.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that is.
Well, I think conflict brings up truth as well. I think if everyone's sitting in this call and agreeing with each other, we wouldn't really see the truth. So I'm actually on the same page as Shiva on some level.
But you don't need. The thing is like.
I mean, we're
I'm
all really
truth.
agreeing though. Like, it's like we're trying to fucking create this agreement. Like, we all agree, really. Like, we agree with you, Shiva. Yes, conflict, and you guys also understand these perspectives. Like, it's it's kind of ridiculous trying to run in laps when the laps are complete. Like, we're all really on the same page here.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
I agree. I agree.
Somebody's talking.
Bro, your chat doesn't like me.
Hey guys, leave Thor alone. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, please, you're hurting my feelings. This guy turned down the volume on me completely. Like, that makes me so sad.
Don't worry about Goose. He hated me for a while as well when I first came in.
Yeah, I believe that.
You gotta have some comic relief. I kind of admire the kind of the meme like shit posting interjections.
It's great, dude. It's great.
So, all right, then, if there's no conflict, we all agree, then what are we here to build? Somebody give me a vision. Why are we all sitting here? Let's do something.
Well, do you think there's conflict in enlightenment? Do you think that when you're getting a group of people together and you're all imbibing a space together and creating an energy, it's like what you do need conflict if you've got inner conflict, but it's just a projection. Like I think what I'm trying to say to you right now is you don't need to say a word to anybody. You just need to sit with people that are in a space of truth in their own sovereign being. And there's no words to say. It's connection. It's intimacy with that fellow being because you're on the energy. It's conflict because you're not ready to get to that place yet. And I'll go and I'll push it. And I'll go. That's the only reason why I go so intense. Because people aren't ready to see what they are. That you are everybody and everything and you are the energy, the purest form. But in order to people sleep. Sorry, go ahead though.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the biggest YouTuber on the platform, a lot of them are conflict driven. Logan Paul, KSI, fucking they're boxing each other. Like, it's all conflict driven. But that's also not the only way. That's the boyish way of entertaining oneself, of creating something, is from a place of conflict. What's the higher way? It's resonance. You can sit and have a conversation like this and talk about what we're navigating, what's happening, our shared vision for a new earth. What is fucking Babastain navigating right now that's challenging, that's going to take him to the next phase? Like, I'm sure some people were entertained, but I saw a significant amount of people like leave the Discord during those kinds of conversations. So I guess I'm also I see how this community is very much conflict built, and people come into this Discord not because they want to learn about spirituality, but because they want to be entertained by spiritual people fucking hashing it back and forth. But this is, yes, it's entertainment, which I guess I'm just like kind of learning myself because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I'm kind of just figuring that out. And then sure, there are some people that also wanna learn and want wisdom, but yeah. And I don't know what you want to build, Shiva. And so at the end of the day, and like if you don't know what you want to build, like fuck yeah, I mean you're fucking around and finding out, which is amazing. And so like all in divine timing, you don't need to know what kind of community you want to create. So just do whatever, and then you'll find that out. But yeah, like it doesn't have to be soul conflict. But yeah, sure, there's a time and space for that, and that's also what Miriam is all about. And there is a lot of value in that. Like she does trigger a lot of people, which our triggers are our treasure. And there's also but then you also gotta fucking look at that trigger, and you gotta lean into that.
Are you conflict driven, Shiva, and you like that? Do you think like Sadhguru saying that he loves chaos and stuff? Are you aligning with this idea?
I do love chaos. I'm finding out that more about myself. It's very delicious. But I don't really know what I want. I don't know what this is. We're just going along every day.
I want to say, I think that if conflict is grounded on love and truth, I think there is room for it.
I don't think
And
there is. I think
I
when
guess
there's truth and love, though, there is no conflict.
The context I want to give as well is Thor, like when we were hosting the retreat in Norway, and I was doing these crucible sessions, and what's his name, the producer, that had some level of inauthenticity.
Andreas.
Some level of inauthenticity to him in the way that he would communicate and whatnot. He needed to be met with something. Something needed to press into him for whatever happened for him to unfold. This burst of anger that came up. And from there onwards, he was able to get one of the biggest music deals or whatever. I don't know the full details, but he was something in his whole energy shifted. So sometimes we do need to be pressed into to have that big awakening. So I still hold my stance around it.
I appreciate that context.
You're basically just calling out like the distortions within him. Like he was at the core just being inauthentic, being a fucking, like, as a man, being kind of a bitch and a pushover is at the core inauthentic. And so you're just basically reflecting that back to him, which can be perceived as a conflict. And yes, there is maybe some back and forth and some tension, but yeah, that's absolutely good. It's healthy. And it's how we grow. I mean, our relationship, Leo, has literally been founded on this. We have had more conflict than I fucking think. Like, I don't understand how we're still friends to this day, considering the amount of conflict and the amount of times I wanted to chop your head off. Like,
Risa, I maybe just want to touch on the point where you said you interjected as Leo was speaking when you said where there is love, there is no conflict. And I actually disagree because I don't want this to sound impersonal, because I really have a lot of empathy for the position that you're in, even though it might be freeing in the sense that you just left a 10-year relationship. But the thing that I've come to find in regard to love, even I have an example today that I had with my partner of conflict. And that's where my love truly shines, in conflict, when I am challenged, when I am having to be vulnerable in those spaces of conflict and recognize where I am wrong. I believe that there is so much conflict in love, so much conflict in love.
No, I agree with you. I think where I'm trying to get at is first of all, like, if you look at me, I bring conflict to every environment that I come into. So I'm not conflict averse. What I'm trying to say is, when I'm in a state of love and truth internally, and I integrate or I meet somebody who is also in that state, then there is no conflict. The conflict is a way to get to that state. war from going on outside, and then the conflict can drop.
Reese, I would love to sit with you in a more personal setting if you're willing and able. I would love to sit with you in that energy if you're willing to take the time, because I found
100%,
many flaws in that within myself, in my impatient spirit for the manifestation of heaven on earth. I would love to share space with you on that if we can make some time.
Somebody
Can you
asked.
elaborate on that? Actually, yeah, go for it, Shiva.
Somebody asked Sadhguru, Osho is the master of controversy, they said to Sadhguru. Osho was very controversial. And then some other guru was the master of something else. And the question was asked, Sadhguru, what are you the master of? And Sadhguru said, I'm the master of chaos. That was taken out of left field. I didn't really know what he meant until this conversation. Now I'm piecing the puzzles together. Chaos is, all of life is chaos. And the more chaos you can handle, he handles so much chaos. 4 million volunteers, so much work he's doing. And also chaos has to do with the throat chakra. That's the place that I'm entering into, and when I'm master, I think it's essential to go into this. And yeah, I don't think the world is all about love, and love is nice. But love is only one part, only one dimension.
Bro, you're trying to move in this matrix effectively. You got to be totally comfortable and confident in navigating chaos. You're trying to build a business, like, bro, best believe you need to know. You need to learn how to navigate those realms. Like my experience in chaos is literally what shaped me. Why I'm able to do what I'm doing in this world. Why I move the way I move. Why I talk the way I talk. Like, it's because of I just had a lot of time in the pressure cooker, a lot of time in the crucible. So yeah, that's also where the fucking new age shit just becomes too wishy-washy. It's like, no, it's not all love and light. Yeah, that is the vision, but right now the planet's fucked. It's really fucked. And so we need to move with that context. You're trying to persuade a fucking CEO of $1 billion company to do something, you can't be fucking saging up the room whilst you're on the call with them. No, you gotta speak in their way. And so it's understanding how to navigate this. And yeah, for you, Shiva, like, absolutely, like, that it makes perfect sense why, like, that's your season essentially.
I think love's the wrong word as well. Like, it comes across as it's like soppy. That's like my kryptonite. I fucking hate that shit. It's not love. It's just the profound energy of life. It contains like a deep bliss, but it's like painfully beautiful. It's like that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some soft wishy-washy fucking love, Shiva. It's not what I'm about. You can just see it in my character. I don't embody that. Never have done. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, it's a different type. It's different from affection. Like, I feel like real love is it has so much pain inside and loss and everything. It's as compared to just human affection, right?
So then the question is, what must we do to change the world? Is it with love, or is it with meeting people in conflict and chaos?
We have to become more powerful.
We have to solve the inner conflict, and then we have to give people processes and ways to solve their own inner conflict. The second the inner conflict of each individual has been resolved, then the external manifestation of this conflict will no longer exist.
I would humbly say that I would feel entitled to give an answer as to how I feel the world could manifest in that way. I humbly surrender to the flow, the same way I surrender to the flow of these conversations and the aspect of how this community is manifesting as that, without a particular vision or goal in mind. I think we all thrive in chaos.
خلي لي كده عاوزة
Please,
حاجة
please mute your mic, Waleed. Yeah.
Hold on, Dr.
طلعي
Jono.
معرفش فرخة
Yes.
لو فيها
Why don't you just mute him, Shiva?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, go on. I'm not sure where to go on from here. What I'm saying
You
in
kind of said that
es-
you're just surrendering to the flow of life, yeah?
yeah, what I'm saying in
As
essence comes
opposed
from
to
what I'm saying in essence comes from a personal experience where I believed wholeheartedly in this aspect of the Great Awakening. And I clung to that so much that I tried to make that manifest in every experience that I had. I tried to force synchronicity with people. And I ended up going so far into that it was very egotistically driven. And I ended up bringing shame to myself in trying to force that perspective on the world around me. So I say that that I'm trying to come from a place of humility in that sense. Because who am I to say, you know?
that's beautiful. Good reflection.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think people are too quick to want to change the world without resolving their inner conflict first. And in doing that, they just bring more conflict into the world. So I think caution is required, discernment is required before just wanting to change the world.
But I think it does also stem from, in some regard, the intention to be noble and righteous, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. We need people like that. We need people who are willing to give of themselves. Charity, volunteers. But we also need
Absolutely,
selfish
but it
people.
needs to be purified. It needs to be purified in its expression before it's ready to be manifest into the world. And I think people don't do the leg and groundwork to purify it before they go out and, haphazardly and without wisdom imposing their self-will on the world when that's not even what it wants.
I think
That's
that's
money, bro.
completely accurate. I mean, one of Mariam's largest investors, when we got to the core of it, we realized that he actually had a big mother wound. And so he actually just wanted to invest to save his mum rather than to save the world. And so what energy are you building and serving a mission upon? Are you doing it because you want to save your mum and you just want validation from your mum? Or is it because you genuinely care about people? So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
I want to add something. And I don't necessarily say this like against you, but I would say that I force everyone I perceive to be enlightened. And I don't do it for selfish reasons. I do it for the children of the world. And if everyone sees consciousness in everyone, then evil can dissolve in being seen.
You was the first, as soon as he said that, Turbo, when he was saying that, honestly, all I could think of was, this is for Swami Turbo right now. He needs to hear this. I think there's something in that though, Turbo. Honestly, I do. I think that, and the reaction to it, I think there's something in it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Could be wrong though.
We got.
What are we talking about now? I kind of got sidetracked because I was gonna fucking say some dumb shit in Swedish, but never mind.
So Turbo, he well, maybe you can give Thor an idea of your thing.
Yeah, so I think we are past seeking for things, and we should see instead. And update the semantics on accepting that everyone is enlightened. And then we help each other in a process of catalyzing enlightened action, because we're still transcending all the habits where we don't let consciousness make the decisions. So
I appreciate that. I'm trying my best to learn to trust that.
We have the guy that I muted here back. Thank you for joining back. I felt a little bit bad after that.
I can add in a couple
Richard.
of words for Swami Turbo. I really like what you are saying right now. Now I just joined. But for some reason, I notice also your voice is shaky. I don't know what to make of any of this, but that is just what I see right now here. Okay. My tea is now there.
Yeah, I feel you.
Shout out to him. Yeah. Okay, guys,
I'm
let's
still a
let's make
little
this.
bit confused on what we spoke about just there.
Right, so Turbo thinks that everybody's enlightened already. His worldview is everybody's already enlightened. What Dr. Jono said was he was moving throughout reality and he was trying to force upon other people the fact that trying to force synchronicities and trying to force to change the world. And then Turbo responded because it was like a clash with his worldview, because that's what he does pretty much. He's trying to push out to everybody that, look, you're already enlightened. But I see what Dr. Jono said, and I actually agree with it. And I think that that method is futile, because I did a similar thing to that back in the day. I was trying to force my thing on people and try to, come on, let's wake up, and it just fucking put them more and more to sleep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's repelling.
the difference is this: I'm not seeking it, I'm seeing it. So I'm trusting that you are all enlightened. I'm not telling you to be. I'm trusting that you have it.
That's good. I like
Makes
that.
sense too. It's just seeing the best in people and affirming that, giving life force energy to that. Yeah, it's totally gonna.
But
gonna
that
get us
trust
moving.
also is a form of blindness. You're not seeing the subtleties and nuances of different layers of awakening in that trust that you're having. So you need a more holistic picture, and I think it's very noble to feel that trust that everyone is enlightened, because on some level they are. But then where do we add in the layers of nuance? And intelligence is required to organize these things in their proper proportionality to have a true seeing.
That's a good. It depends on his purpose, though. Like, I believe some people are here literally just to fucking be an embodied love and see that in other people. And then you got other people who are meant to bring you the context and that are more speakers. Like, for me, that's what I'm doing. I see all the darkness and I talk about it and I connect the dots. And so it's kind of just like, what role are you playing, essentially?
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So I want to step in here because essentially we have 25 people now here. That's the max. And we're talking about these nice ideas, fancy ideas. How do we make this more concrete and, let's say, for example, stop the war in Russia and Ukraine? Let's do something about it. What can we do? Maybe energetically, not even physically. What steps can be done to end the war? Any ideas?
Same answer as we've been talking about so far. Just do the inner work. Focus on the inner work. Focus on purifying yourself.
I agree. The peace starts from the center and emanates outward. So Shiva, I think taking a page from your book, or ours rather, selfish. We should be more selfish in the context of that, so that we may emanate what we feel is best for ourselves in others.
I think we should say Ram so many times that the war is over.
What did you want to
I'll
say?
be honest, I actually think that we need a World War III.
Wow, I like that answer.
See you on the front line on Greenland.
Wow, interesting.
Why, Leo?
I don't think things are going to just dissolve naturally. It's like there is so much chaos happening in the world. We're not just going to all of a sudden be love and light.
It's the
Things
reason
need to
why, though,
build
is
up,
because it's
and
because of
things
that,
need to
though.
get destroyed. And then I think that's how we're going to find love. We're going to find love on the other side of that.
Yeah, we will. And that's probably what's going to need to happen. But the reason being is because people like Shiva, or lots of people, we need another war. Like, it's not good. We are not going to settle until there's enough pain. That's the reason why, though. It isn't a necessity. We don't need to go to World War III. But because the people need the World War III in order to see sense, then maybe that's what has to happen.
Yeah, good point.
Damn fucking shame, though, because a lot of people get killed.
Yeah.
It's like the Earth having a breakup with itself, and it needs to go through that in order to learn.
It's a
Yeah,
great
I don't
way
need
of
World
putting
War
it.
III.
Wow, that was a fantastic
Yeah.
analogy.
Interesting.
Swami, something that I'm learning recently is in order to trust in the perspective that you shared that another being is enlightened, it requires surrender. And I notice in certain spaces of my mind, more particularly my mind, how trauma arises. And I'm trying to move through that so that I may surrender to another and trust them wholeheartedly. And I really appreciate that perspective that you shared, that it's not necessarily a forcing, that it's a trust. It flipped the table on my perspective of this great awakening. So thank you for that.
Bless, bless, bless.
I mean, it's bound to happen. It will happen. And if you believe it will happen, it will happen. If you don't believe it will happen, it won't happen. And it's because the fucking reality that you live in is the reality that you think about and feel and talk about and all of that stuff. So you just start engaging and feeling that world as if it's true. Like that's all that you will see, and you'll see all the synchronicities. It's just the universe serving you what you already are embodying. So it really ain't that deep. Like it's like this whole fucking big thing. You're like, oh shit, we gotta change the world and save the world and blah blah blah. But like the actual practical steps are super, super simple. And also in the grand scheme of it, it's it's already happening. Like the awakening is already happening. Like the government burning down LA. Like, yeah, the people that are destined to be asleep and that are coming back here and like got more earth time to fucking run through whatever, like they're still, even though there's so much evidence and it's so obvious that it's being burnt down by the government and whatever, like they're still not going to see it because they don't want to see it. And so that's it. But the people that are on the edge, that experience massive awakening for them.
I feel that
It's
community
happening.
in that sense is also really important. I feel like it's one of the reasons, if not the reason, I joined the aspect of community. Because I'm quite lonely here. I stay in a small town. I moved here about 10 months ago. And there's truly nobody here aside from two people that we've met that have any form of like-mindedness. And there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of
Where in
suffering
the world
here.
are you?
I am in the Karoo in South Africa in the Western Cape. It's essentially like a semi-desert in a very small town along a main road. And I think everybody seeks community in some way, shape, or form, acceptance. Not necessarily the external validation, but just acceptance. And
I
agree with that. Same.
Dude, I have a community on school. We're about 2,000 people in there. We have some people in South Africa that are in there, and I mean this is, and it's to your point. This is all that I talk about every single day with my community, with Leo, with the rest of my team. Like this is the whole reality I live in. Like I already live as if New Earth is here because I'm just feeding myself that reality on all levels with my family, with my hangouts, whatever I'm doing, and so the more pillars you can create in your life that affirm that reality, the easier it's going to be to embody it and walk it and talk it. Getting rid of anything that's like pulling you into old worlds and then creating new pillars. And yeah, community is foundational there. And I would not be able to do this if it wasn't for having Leo as my business partner and having the team and whatever. It's like because like sitting and trying to hold this on your own, suicide, impossible. I'm not going to be able to do it. But then having people affirm it, that's what builds the momentum in the direction you want to build.
If you could link me to that community, brother,
I used to
Thor,
work in
I
a
appreciate it.
factory as a job student.
Jess,
Yeah, I'm going to steal your entire audience, Shiva.
This is exhausting.
I don't mind it. Jess, if you have something to say, please speak up, or otherwise mute your mic.
I was listening to something. And I was just asking.
I mute her.
Yo, yes. Yes.
I don't get these guys. It's like this woman. She claims to be the second coming of Christ. It's complicated. Anyhow, it was just one woman. All these men are listening to her. I'm like listening to them now, like in their separate groups, and they're making sense. But somehow they are listening to her, and I don't.
We don't listen to her. She's totally lost it.
Yeah,
Out of her mind.
I mean, it sounds like Jess is listening to her.
Really, what a guy from France said he's the alien prophet. The alien
Yeah,
are the ones who made us.
the aliens.
Yeah. If you look in story, it will be a interesting one. It's on Netflix.
Like Anunnaki or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are like the evil aliens.
Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck's going on here? We're just listening to some. We're just like listening into some randoms conversations about aliens or some shit. Jess, mute your fucking mic or.
The ones who keep down.
Wait, I'll
Sounds more
see if
interesting
I.
than ours. That one. What the fuck?
Yes, or yes. Yo. Let's do the meeting of the microphone.
Richard, I love you, brother. I love you, brother.
Yeah, my approach was
Yeah,
just
but
we need to try different accents, maybe it will like work.
I love your accent as it is.
I don't
You
know what to
Estonian
say.
hunk. You don't need to say anything, Jess. You said more than enough last night. I feel
Oh,
privileged
they're
to have
talking
been
to
in
me.
space with you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I feel privileged to have been in space with you yesterday, and I appreciate you sharing. I won't necessarily open that can of worms here, but
Shit, I didn't
I
know you
appreciate
guys
you
could
sharing.
hear me. I'm sorry.
We
I'll.
maybe thought as much.
Sorry.
If you can mute your mic if you're not talking, that way we can't hear
No,
you.
I was just curious what you guys were talking about, but I'm actually in the car with someone else, and I didn't realize you guys could hear me.
Yeah. So mute your mic if you're not talking.
So I
That'd
will
be
mute
great.
myself.
Thank you. All right, more logs need to be thrown in the fire.
I have a question. So I heard Thor talking about like creating pillars in your life that reflect what you want to affirm in the world or build. How do we discern what we want to manifest into the world? What is your discernment process for going through take the fuck around and find out approach where you just like index towards action and like whatever kind of bubbles up, you just kind of like try it out, test it out and see if it picks up steam? Like, how do you work with that process of like, what do you actually bring into the world?
Great question.
Can I
Follow
speak into
the energy. Follow the energy. When we talked yesterday, when we discussed, I felt like you were attempting to follow a positive aspect in a certain sense. The positive being what you want of your life, of your purpose, of your mission, of your goal. But then I remember saying to you that maybe it's best to start with what you don't want. And Shiva speaks about this. He had a short where he mentions that the spiritual path is one of essentially gathering energy and reaping what you sow. So it's all energy. It's a feeling. That's the guiding force, and from your heart space in particular, how that feels.
I would say this is less about discernment. That was like the core piece to your question. This is more about just following joy. What actually brings you joy? I think it's that simple. And
I
follow
was
that
going to
joy.
say follow expansion.
I agree.
Like if you're lit up about it, like, and that's pretty obvious. Like kids know that intuitively.
There's no discernment in kids either. It's just joy. What is joy? Let's follow the joy.
I don't know about that one. The reason why is
Yeah, that's not
because
always
I did
practical.
this for a while. Like, if you start to just follow what you think is the joy, it can soon get tainted by trying to follow the positive direction of your life, and then you start to split yourself in two, and you're not able to go into the painful aspects of your own character. Like, in order for me to get to this space where I'm in right now, it's just been pure shadow work. And it's actually been looking at the opposite of joy. It's been looking directly, staring pain in the face.
Reese,
So,
I think there's too much conflict there. We can't go there.
Can I like
just being,
talk for a
this is
second?
me, authentic.
Because I think like you took something so simple and you just made it difficult. It's like man was just talking about joy, you know, but you
Sounds like
just
a you problem, that.
you just like added so many layers to it, and you just made
That's
it
just
into
the truth,
something
though. Like, if you want to
Okay, I just want
experience
to say,
joy,
you made
so
it
go
into
ahead, Lion.
something totally different.
yeah.
You know?
So to talk to answer to Leo's point about the children and they just follow joy, right? Yeah, like small children, yeah, they do that, but also like small children, like young children, they're also practically like unconsciously suicidal, and in the sense that they just have, without the discernment, like they get themselves in dangerous situations or do like, can hurt themselves or all sorts of things
Follow the
because
candy.
if they don't have a responsible adult like overlooking them also, right? So like if you don't have that discernment like entirely, like it's absolutely foolish. It's like the fool card in the tarot, and you
Yeah,
can
if you
just
just follow joy, you'll
blindly
just
walk
eat
off a
loads of ice
fucking
cream.
cliff. You could just blindly fall off a fucking cliff, like in a way. Like sometimes literally even. Like
I mean, at the
Surrender.
core of that, which is obvious, it's like, where is it your ego's quote unquote joy, or is it your soul's joy? And that's actually where discernment is important, and where you do need to like tune in with yourself, drop in with yourself, and actually ask. Because you can follow the joy, and then you're just following your ego's desire for satisfaction and stimulation, and
Yeah, it's
that's
like
not it.
pleasure versus joy. Like eating ice cream isn't the same as like following your soul's joy, your soul's direction.
No, I agree, but I think a lot of people just don't have that capability to know the difference between the two.
And this is why, yeah, and that's why I guess you asked the question in the first place, because it can be tricky. And I mean, it's a fucking lifelong quest. Because, like, for me, reflecting on my life now and all the pillars that I have in place, like, I'm still learning what I need to be happy. And my biggest realization 2 weeks ago was I need organization. Otherwise, I suffer deeply. And so for me to express all my fire and emotion and all of that, I need structure around me. So, okay, cool. That's an important thing. It's fucking boring sitting on a Sunday, spending 2 hours organizing my week. Like, it's not very exciting, but it will create more quote unquote joy. And so, yeah, but at the core of it, it's like throwing yourself into experiences, and you might have to go through something 3, 4, 5, 10 times before you really like understand, like, oh, this ain't it. And so it is your gut, it is your intuition that's gonna at the core guide you. And sometimes it's a little trickier knowing if you are in the right place or not. And that's where trial and error comes in. That's the path. That's the path of life that we're all walking. Just a forever quest of optimizing your life for max expansion, max happiness, identifying your soul's blueprint. Really.
There's also something to be said, however, for a passive approach, from the perspective of all that is as it is, as it should be. I had a good friend who alluded to that at one point in my life, where I was grappling with that particular question, or that relative question, and he said to me, there is no such thing as being out of alignment. And I thought that was such a powerful space, because it brought me right back where I needed to be.
Yeah, I do like that, but you got to be careful with that. 'Cause it can be a trap.
Yeah,
you get trapped in just like thinking that you're already somewhere, or just being a lazy bastard. A lot of people that I've seen that are like that are just scared of acting, and they mask it in this guise of of that exact philosophy. So there is truth to it, but also I think the majority of people are just being passive because they're just terrified of action. Action's
But
good.
there's
give an
something to be
example.
said. There's something to be said for laziness on that point, because I feel that the society's brought a lot of shame to laziness, but I believe that there's power in that, because when somebody is wholeheartedly ambitious, when somebody is too far on one side, for example, of ambition versus laziness, I'm not sure if that's the direct contrast, but in ambition, it's constantly striving for greater, better, more, faster. But laziness is the polar opposite of that, and I feel like there's a sense of peace. Thor, you mentioned earlier that in the live that you realized that you had an awakening after a mushroom journey that you had, where everything slowed down, and I feel like there's something to be said for that as well, because I myself have been lazy and suffered at the hands of the demon of sloth, but I too have learned in that, and I've had to move through a lot of shame of that, but I'm also
Mm-hmm.
deeply grateful because that brought me closer to myself in that pacing, in that pacing of laziness, in that passiveness, rather.
I agree with you, 100%.
What is
I
your
have a
balance?
comment on laziness, because I think it's absolutely necessary to see when you need to just chill and do something later. But and this is semantics again. I don't know if exactly what someone means when they say lazy, but sometimes I get the connotation that I'm feeling lazy because I have a limit. I'm too tired to do this, or like I create some kind of mental limit where I'm not capable. And that shouldn't be the reason to rest. It's better to just find that as a highest priority, like I'm gonna be a winner and rest now, and not be like, oh, I'm capable, so I have to rest. You know what I mean? Like it's an unnecessary step, which a lot of the time I see that's what's laziness, when you like identify yourself with a limit instead of just seeing the number one choice or my action now is to do that later.
I think in the context of my definition, the affliction that I had in reference to laziness was not doing the work. But there's a lot that comes with that. It's not simply just this passive approach.
Yeah, you're
It
fine to be
emanates
lazy. Be
from,
lazy,
yeah,
but be pro. If you're gonna be lazy, be really lazy, and don't feel
yeah,
guilty about it. And then you won't be
yeah.
lazy anymore. You'll go into action. People get lazy, and then because society is just this mad capitalistic, just got to keep earning more and doing more. People are just ashamed for this shit. So yeah, man, like I've had periods of just being lazy and people grilling me for it, and I just went fuck you. Went into the laziness, then action comes off the back of it. So. Yeah, man, I get what you're saying, Dr. John O, for sure. You need to move through the fear of being judged for being lazy. Then action will spring.
Once again, Swami, I appreciate you bringing context to that.
Bless.
A lot of gang shit up in here. I like it.
Ain't nothing but a G thing.
I'm thinking also about the nuance about community, because I do think it's valuable to have connection with people. And it could be that you move to a place where people move to interact, but I also see that it's enough to just walk outside and look one stranger in the eyes without judgment and really seeing them, letting them see you. And that will build a intimate community of conscious people. It doesn't have to be a dialogue, it doesn't have to be that you do things together. You just recognize consciousness between each other. And that's good Sangha.
I appreciate that, because I sometimes feel like my loneliness is manifested through my own ego, in that I feel I may not be able to truly connect with somebody in the aspect of what I am passionate about, what I am interested in. But that's not necessarily community. Community is diverse, and open.
You know, if you want to merge with someone in some sense that you would like, then they will also have to be like willing for that to happen, You know, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
So there's like one way where you're searching for people that are on the same bullshit as you. And then there's a process. But if you just, I'm not saying you specifically, but like if I drop my bullshit and just greet the world and let other people drop their bullshit, then I'm together with anyone just walking out on the street, because there is no process of matching interests, etc.
You know, I think dropping the bullshit, that sounds real good. But for me personally, like I have put myself in a situation where I think I have dropped all my bullshit, but in doing so, I've actually created even more bullshit for myself. So for me personally, like the easier approach is to just walk around and show my bullshit to everyone.
Yeah,
Just dropping your bullshit, being honest about it.
I think it's just like nuances. Like it's not one right way.
I mean, no. If
So what does it
you're
mean to
walking
drop
around with
it?
shit in your pockets, you don't want to go and just start throwing it in everybody's face. You want to.
But it would be
It's a good
beneficial
way of
telling
getting a
them,
quick
hey,
urine and for people to fucking be like, listen, you're full of shit. But like, and it's a good way of learning the lesson fast. But it's not like the best approach, I don't think, to be walking around life throwing shit on people just because you can't deal with it yourself.
You know, listen, Reese. I didn't say I'm walking around throwing shit at people. I'm just saying I'm walking around showing my shit to people.
No, I can
So
see. I see
let's
every
say I
call
have
that
a
I see
spoon.
every single
Listen
call
to
that you
me.
enter, Ram. I see what you
Listen
are.
to me.
It's obvious.
Let me talk, man. Let's say I have a spoon. Let's call this spoon a piece of shit. Right now, let's say I'm walking around. Actually, I'm sitting, but I'm moving around with my spoon. You can clearly see my spoon. Now you cannot see my spoon, right? But now you can see my spoon. Am I right now throwing it at you? No, I'm not throwing it at you, but you can still see it. You see?
Okay, brother.
It can be interesting art, and it could be like a heavy load, depending on context. But it's easier to connect with people if you don't carry a lot of things you search for.
Don't search, just trust.
And you know, you say you see me. I'm really interested in what you see. Because really you are just seeing yourself. You know that. Like, obviously you know that. So
Okay.
We've ruined Thor's sleep schedule. He's eating before bed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's very true.
that's not
That is
good.
very true.
But enjoy anyway.
Yeah, it's just my shit.
Where do we go from here? What do we create next? We've already solved the war in Ukraine, created peace in Russia.
That's
Ram, 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 ram. Let's go.
Jay.
Ram. Ram.
I'm curious on your name, Swabi. Swabi, Turbo, Bhagwan, Anand.
Anand, yeah.
What's the story behind your name. Why did you pick that name?
Turbo, I was always called by my family. And Bhagwan, I got when I was doing like a yoga teacher education. My mentor gave me that name, and he was under like a Osho philosophy teaching. And it started off as a joke because I had like connection with bugs, and he called me Bug One, like one bug. And it got stuck in that context. And then I had a guru who said, like, yes, you are Bhagwan. And then I went to India almost 2 years ago and met like a traditional Swami. And first he said that my name was Swami Bhagwananand, but I challenged him and corrected him and said, it's Swami Turbo Bhagwananand. And he laughed and accepted. And since then, I had this like name to greet the world and see. Yeah.
And when you're chatting up women, is that the name you give them?
Might just say
Good
Turbo. Turbo Bhagwan. I don't say Swami.
Yeah, you're gonna have a low conversion rate if you fucking drop your whole thing right off the bat.
Conversion rate, right? No,
I think
have
Turbo's
like
a pretty sick name. Swami Turbo. It's a pretty dope name.
that's man. I should have like 11 names totally if you look at my
Where
passport.
are you from?
I am from Sweden.
No. Very nice.
Prata fan med svenska. Vad fan? En upplyst Sverige, man.
Absolut.
Absolut. So the name, I find names interesting because in the context of the average Joe, it's like it just sounds retarded, you know. It just sounds self-obsessive, and so I'm always curious about the story behind people's names, because like there's a lot of power to names, there's a lot of power to words, and yeah. So like when you said you were kind of given the name. And so my first thing is just like, oh yeah, some random spiritual dude just like gave you a name, and you were like, thank you, nice, and it's like, yeah, I'm just you're just accepting a random label. So I guess my question is like, why? I guess why that name? What do you feel when you tune into it? Because obviously you changed it consciously.
Yeah. So my name's. I mean, Turbo goes back to my parents when I was newborn. You know, and everyone in my family called me that. And people I know from my family has always called me that. And the other names that come along the way, it's really, for me, it's a way of showing respect to them that call me that name. It's not like it's not really about me. It's more about the people that gave me that name, to be honest.
That also made you, quote unquote, or shaped you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like remembering kind of your traps, your journey. Yeah, I can see value in that. It's like another pillar, quote unquote, in your life that affirmed the reality that you're wanting to embody.
For sure.
I would love to ask Swami. I've heard this name, and you referenced the traditional Swami. But what is that? What is a Swami?
I mean, a Swami is like a spiritual teacher and ultimately like a representation of God. And the traditional Swami I met was a Naga sadhu that lives in India, just covered in ash, sits around the fire all the time. And I spent time with him, received his sadhana. And he had the authority to carry that name and to give that name. But beyond that, anyone can call himself a Swami. It's it's something. It's like saying I'm enlightened, or making it part of expressing where you're at.
Okay.
Yeah. But in
Thank
no way would I use that title to exclude anyone, like to say that I'm more enlightened or anything like that. It's just I have that story of going through that culture and being recognized as a Swami. So that's like part of my lore, basically.
Are you enlightened, Turbo?
Yeah, for sure. That's my thing. Like everyone is enlightened.
Ah, okay, sorry. I get you.
In
Yeah.
South Africa, in South Africa, we have how would I say the tribal lineage, the local lineage, are referred to as Sangoma. But as a Sangoma, if you are respected or revered, or rather as a term of endearment, you refer to your teacher or your Sangoma as Mkulu or Gogo, which translates almost to, in English, grandfather. You recognize them as an elder in that sense. I think it's a very fitting name.
That's G.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Blessings.
Thank you.
To you too, Leo. Good day, good night, sleep tight.
We'll see what Thor has to say when he comes back, but I think it's been, I don't even know how long it's been since we started this call. It's been 2 hours and 18 minutes. So this is probably good enough for one day. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of Thor. And yeah, it's time for me to go eat some stuff.
What are you gonna be eating?
Quinoa salad.
Not a steak? You little
type of salad?
bitch. Come on, you
What
gotta eat a
does
steak.
it have inside? What? You don't need to eat like steak for muskla, you know. I also have
Oh,
little
absolutely.
bit of muskla, but like I literally eat like only animal product I eat it's butter, and I eat unfertilized eggs, maybe 2 eggs per week. But I'm working on removing those also from my diet. Right now my body needs them.
Yeah, you need Wagyu, bro. Just all Wagyu, bunch of eggs. Preferably pig. That's what I eat the most. And I mean, come on. Like, dude, their results speak for themselves, you know?
Yeah, I will
So yeah,
show
that's
you.
what I would recommend,
I will
Shiva.
show you what 2 eggs and no training for 2 years does to a person. So I'm not looking like too bad either, you know. You see?
You got great aesthetics. Very good aesthetics. Yeah, fucking solid,
Bro,
dude.
I weigh 80 kilos.
How tall are you? You weigh
That's
more
a
than me.
solid fucking weight. Holy shit.
Yeah,
How tall are
But
you?
yeah,
I'm 188.
So you're like 6'2".
that makes sense.
Yeah, like
Shiva.
Yeah, he's like
6'2.5".
Shiva, should we do like some
6'2.5".
extra workout to show vegan muscle for the server?
At this moment, I can
Thor,
just
I'm
say
with you
I
on the
can do
steak and
like
eggs, bro.
maximum 50 push-ups.
We need to show them.
On a real note, though, I've been eating meat my whole life. Now I probably eat meat once a week, and I do feel best on just veggies. And yeah, I know you don't need meat or proteins. You just need amino acids, and that's what I'm taking.
It's good.
And
Actually,
yeah, I'm fucking shredding down fast. And it's
I've also eaten meat
bro.
all
Let me
yeah, sorry.
finish talking, please. I'm still in the middle of a yeah. That's I don't really have anything else to say. What I was going to say, though, is I'm also fucking ready to sleep. So good shout. I'm ready to tap out. And yeah, Shiva,
Let me
I'm
finish
down
talking. I don't have anything else to say.
more fun in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, appreciate you joining, and we'll see you again very soon.
Yeah, Shiva.
Bye. Big love, guys.
Take care. Thanks. Bye. Any final words, my friends? I see Matthew here, Lionheart.
Enjoy your food. Is my final words to you. Bon appetit.
Shiva.
Yep.
I just wanted to ask you if I may invite people to my channel, and if not, that's totally cool.
Absolutely. Do whatever you like.
It's called From Discussion to Action.
Discussion to action. Got it. Yeah, you can comment that YouTube channel on the video of this video, and people can subscribe. And yeah, shout out to all you guys. So I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Shiva.
All right, guys. Take it.
Thank you. Big up.